In this video, we're going to look at graphing some cosine functions that have transformations in them. Just as a reminder, here's what your basic cosine function looks like. Remember that your midline is on the x-axis. So unlike the sine function, cosine starts above the midline, then hits the midline, then goes below, then hits the midline and comes back up. And how far above the midline you start is based on your amplitude. So we're not going to start on the midline like we did with the sine functions. All of your transformation rules are the same. Amplitude is the absolute value of A. Period is 2 pi over B. Phase shift is C over B. Vertical shift or midline is D. All right, so for number 1, we have y equals -3 plus 2 cosine x. Okay, if we're labeling this, 2 is our A value. Our B value is an understood 1. Since there's nothing in front of the x, we don't have a C value because we don't have parentheses. And our D value is the -3. So we know so far that our amplitude is 2. The period is 2 pi divided by B, but B is a 1, so the period's just 2 pi. And then we have no phase shift. Our vertical shift will be down 3, since our D is negative. Okay, so when you draw this out, keep in mind that you're shifting everything down 3, so your graph's going to need to be larger on the bottom than the top. You also have an amplitude of 2, so once you shift down 3, down to -3 on the y-axis, you still have to be able to go 2 units up and 2 units down. So our graph is going to have to at least go down to -5. Alright, so we've got -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. I'm going to go ahead and draw our midline down at -3. So that's where we're going to imagine our x-axis being. Alright, because our period is 2 pi, we're going to count by these normal tick marks up here. I'm going to do 8 of them though, so we're going to start here and we're going to go pi halves, pi, 3 pi halves, 2 pi. So these are going up by a half. If we go up another half from 2 pi, we're going to be at 5 pi halves. The next one would put us at 3 pi. Then we'll be at 7 pi halves and 4 pi. Okay, remember cosine starts above the midline. So if our midline's here and we have an amplitude of 2, we have to start 2 above our midline. So we're going to start up here at -1. Then we're going to hit the midline. Then we're going to go 2 below, hit the midline, 2 above. All right, that's your first period. Then we're going to do all that again. We're above, so now we're going to hit the midline, 2 below, hit the midline, and then 2 above. And that would be your 2 full periods. All right, let's look at this one. Y equals 4 times the cosine of 2x over 5, or you can think of that as 2/5 x. So our A value in this one's 4. Our B value is 2/5. So let me circle that. 2/5 is our B value. Our C value, we don't have one, and we don't have a D. So no phase shift and no vertical shift. So our amplitude for this one is going to be 4. Now for your period, since you are going to have to divide by a fraction, that's going to be 2 pi over 2/5, but I want you to think of that as 2 pi times 5 halves. Think of it as multiplying by the reciprocal. So what happens is when you flip that, this 2 and this 2 are going to cancel, and so your period is 5 pi. All right, let's draw that out. We don't have to worry about shifting up or down for a vertical shift, but we do have an amplitude of 4, so our graph's going to have to be fairly tall to be able to go 4 above and 4 below. I'm not sure if that's tall enough. It'll be close. So I'm able to go 1, 2, 3, 4 below, 1, 2, 3, 4 above. Let me go up one more unit. Okay, so this is 4 above and 4 below. Okay, so let's figure out what we're going to count by for our tick marks. Our period is 5 pi. Remember, we want to take that and we want to divide that by 4. So 5 pi fourths is what we're going to count by. And so I'm going to get my calculator out so you can see how we'll type it in there. But let's also talk about on this one how you can do it mentally without having to go to your calculator all the time. We're starting at 0. We're going to count by 5 pi fourths. So I'm going to go ahead and let this first mark be 5 pi fourths. So we're going to go up by another 5 pi fourths. So think of it as 5 fourths plus another 5 fourths. Remember that when you add fractions, you don't add the denominators, only the numerators. So if you're doing 5 fourths plus another 5 fourths, that's going to be 10 fourths. And 10 over 4 reduces to 5 over 2. So our next mark is 5 halves. And here it is in the calculator. 5 fourths plus another 5 fourths gives us 5 halves. Okay, so if we were at 10 over 4 and we're going to add another 5 over 4, that's going to put us at 15 over 4. Do that in the calculator. 15 fourths. If I'm at 15 over 4 and I add another 5 over 4, that's going to put me at 20 over 4. 20 over 4 is just 5. So in the calculator, notice you get 5. So you can do these fractions easily by just keeping your denominator the same and just taking your numerator up by this much each time. Now you will have to reduce here and there, but that's the simple way to do it. So I'm at 5 pi, remember, which was really 20 over 4. So if I'm at 20 over 4 and I'm going to go up 5 over 4, that's going to put me at 25 over 4.
Hey, I'm sorry.
You're fine.